Two guys in their early 50s with one dream, to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Pilgrims, I'm back in the hot seat with Andy Walker for what is most likely the final episode for 2025.
Would you call it the hot seat or would you call it the saddle?
Given the temperatures we've been having this week, it's comfortably the hot seat, I think, right. Andy Walker. But you can call it the saddle if you want to. It's not on an animal of any sort, so it's a bit weird.
Well, and we'll get to this a little bit later on, but my golf feels like it's a little bit of the Wild West, so I sort of feel like I'm riding a Bronco. That's my golf game at the moment.
Yeah, that doesn't sound amazing, but look, no. Before we get into that, there are a few little things that we need to talk about, and one of those things, Andy Walker, is the yearly championship, the update for November. Which has been pointed out to me by a couple of pilgrims that we have not covered off, and we're fast running out of time in December. So I think it's only the right thing for us to do to go through the results for the month that was November, and there are some exciting results in there. So,
ooh, okay, nice.
As we get to the pointy end of everybody's favourite global podcast amateur golf competition. I think fair to say it's one of a kind. Not sure if anyone else is doing it.
Is it limited to amateurs or would we, if say we had a couple of, say, live defectors that didn't want, like, Cam Smith, for instance, his golf's not doing that good at the moment. Can't make a putt to win a championship. So
that's harsh. That's harsh. It's true, but it's harsh.
So maybe he might want to sort of slide and cross and join. I mean,
yeah.
The Leash seems to be doing all right. He won the Victorian PGA on the weekend, so he seems to be going good. So
yeah. I mean, we could do that. We could slide a couple of professionals in and just follow their scores in next year's yearly championship and pop them in. I don't know what handicap would play them off, but anyway, that's fine. I'm sure we could figure that out. Anyway, that's a bit off topic because they're not in this year's competition. But there's plenty of people who are. There are plenty of people who are. So shall we go to the results, Andy Walker, and let's see how it went for the month. So, because you had a round and I had a round during the month.
I did.
You had 33 points and I had 31 points. Was the best of my two rounds at the Bathurst Open, which was pretty ordinary.
Yeah. I'm not overly confident about getting any points, but I'm hopeful.
Should we start at the top and work our way down like we did last time, just to build some tension?
Let's do that.
Okay, that's exciting. So in first place, winning the month with an impressive 40 points, is a new contender in the yearly championship for the Missing Links Golf Show. And that adds 10 points to his tally, which puts him on a total of 10 points. And that was Matt Woodbridge from New South Wales in Australia.
Nice one.
Super work. What was impressive about that round, Andy Walker, is that Matt was playing off, and let me find it, he was playing off a handicap of very, very few numbers. He was, in fact, playing off scratch.
So 4 under.
Yes.
Well, that's got to be a tournament record, hasn't it, for gross off the stick?
I'm happy to call it a course record for the Missing Links Golf Show.
Yeah. Even though the Missing Links doesn't really have a golf course as such, it's
not this Missing Links, no. But let's call it a course record because why not? A show record? Is it a show record? I don't know.
It's a championship record.
It's definitely a record. Great round of golf. He's made 5 birdies and a bogey on the way in.
Nice.
It's an incredible round of golf.
So what he's had even the front nine and
no.
Sorry,
I was misleading with the way that I phrased that. He's gone 2 under. So he started with 5 pars and then birdied 6 and 7, and then par in for 20 points on the front 9.
Nice.
And then he has birdied 10, birdied 12, bogeyed 15, par 3 15th, and he has birdied 16, par 5.
Nice.
And then finished par 17, 18. Cracking round of golf.
Great round of golf.
Cracking round of golf. Good fella too,
anytime par or better, I think you can walk off fairly happy with yourself.
Mate, if I shot par or better, I'd be pretty stoked with myself just quietly. So anyway, that was that was quite a striking round of golf to kick off proceedings, which means in second place. Now, this is interesting because, excuse me, in second and third, there was a count back. There were 2 players on 37 points, one of whom was competition leader James Armstrong from the UK, was tied on 37 points with Alex from New South Wales.
Nice.
I can tell you that it was a very, very close run thing. But taking out second place on count back was actually Alex from New South Wales.
Well done.
Adding 7 points to his tally, which means that James takes third, adds 5 points to the tally, putting him on 54 points for the year, which is just an incredible score. So well done to him. But in fourth place, adding 3 points to his tally with 34 Stableford points, was in fact Big Kerrod from Dubbo in New South Wales, Australia, which keeps him in touch. He's on 48 points, so he's 6 points behind the lead, and that means that it's all going to come down to the wire in December between those two.
So effectively, KP's got to either win it or come second, and hope James goes AWOL for a bit.
So if Big K wins it, James needs to finish outside the top 3.
Right. So first, second or third, James takes it out regardless, yeah?
Correct. But you never know. Strange things have happened.
They have.
Big K needs to put in a good score, though. That's as simple as that.
So KP he needs to finish first or second at least, yeah?
Yes. If he finishes second,
third won't do it.
If he finishes second, then he needs James to finish outside of the points. And I can tell you,
what if there's a tie? What do we?
Well, if there's a tie, what we're going to do is go back to number of wins as the first count back.
Yep.
I'm not even sure mathematically that they can tie at this point, but maybe they can. We'll check that out. But anyway, yes, it would go down to wins and then seconds and then et cetera down the list. But mountain to climb, because if you have a look on the Missing Links Golf Show podcast Facebook page, you will notice that James has put a pretty handy round in already this month. There is, I think it's fair to say that Big K needs to put in a very, very good round, and he needs someone to come with him. Another actually needs 2 people to come with him on that.
Yep.
So I think the that rather well endowed lady is beginning to warm up the vocal cords out the back there somewhere.
Okay. Yep.
But you never know, because we've got some golf yet to play this month, so we might have saying things.
Correct.
So anything's possible. Anything indeed is possible. All right. So that is to fourth place. So fifth place, earning 2 points in the yearly championship, and in fact, doubling his yearly tally and taking it up to 4 is Andy Walker with 33 points.
That is a bit of a shock, I must admit.
It's amazing.
So I did not think 33 points was going to be good enough, given the level of competition this year. But I'll take it. 2 points.
No, and in fairness, it shouldn't have been good enough, really.
No.
Stretching your lead.
Just on that, like how far ahead of Mick Patterson am I now?
I was going to say stretching your lead over Mick Patterson to a whopping 3 points.
Excellent.
So
Mick's got to he's got to finish at least what?
He's got to finish. No, to tie with you, he's got to finish at least 4th, and have you finish out of the points. Yep. That's
I guess the good thing, Mick, that I'm probably out of the points at the moment, even though I have played a competition round. I think I'm going to struggle to get points with that one.
Yeah, but you are, by the look of things, going to have another competition round before the end of the year.
It looks that way. I am booked in.
Yeah, so that's exciting. All right, so in 6th place, rounding out the points for the month with 1 point to add to his yearly championship tally, with 31 Stableford points, ladies and gentlemen. I have crawled over the finish line. Thanks very much.
Love it.
And that demonstrates the importance, ladies and gentlemen, of getting a card in for the month.
So is that the lowest total that's got points in the championship? Has there been anything lower than 31 points? That's a good question.
So 31. Last month, 6th place was 35. In September, it was 34. In August, it was 32. July, 33. June was 31.
Okay. Yep.
By me.
Excellent.
May was 29. Donnie from Bathurst, Donnie the burglar.
29.
Yeah, wow. It's terrible. It was a bad month. April was 33. March was 34. And February was 34. So there you go. 29's the lowest. So even if you've shot a 29, you're not out of it. Get your cards in.
So in anything really with a 3 in front of it, and you're a chance.
Yeah, but I mean, then there's been some months where
35 was one of the months where
it was 35.
Yeah, if you'd have 34 points, and you're thinking you're a reasonable chance. 33. I mean, I thought 33 was maybe not. I wasn't that confident, but 34. You usually think 34 might get you something, even though there was 1 month where 35 got the last place.
But not only that, in that month, it was countback for 6th, and 35 also came in 7th and out of the points.
Yeah, right.
So you were unlucky in that month if you didn't get any points. But anyway, such is life. All right, so there you go, Pilgrims. That is the update of the yearly championship. Now, Andy Walker, I want to take you to some to a Voice of the Pilgrim, some fan mail that we got via the send us a text message button on the podcasting channel. So this is a bit of a long one, okay? So you're going to have to strap yourself in here. From Peter. Now, Peter, as it transpires, is in fact a pilgrim who I have met in real life because our kids go to school together.
Oh yeah, nice. Yep.
So he sends this now. I'm interested in your reaction to this, Andy Walker, because there's a bit in here, and I think that there's a bit to unpack. It's quite an insightful Voice of the Pilgrim. So Peter says, This is Mr. Hinks. It has been a pleasure over the last 10 months simultaneously getting to know you in person while also listening to your golf podcast with Andy.
Nice.
However,
should it be a but? I mean, there's always a but, isn't there?
However, and as we all know, once you say but, everything before it's BS. So he says, however, I was quite surprised / disappointed.
Oh, disappointed.
Yeah. I'm not angry.
Wow.
I'm disappointed. Disappointed with your in-person, socially lubricated response to a pretty basic or fundamental golf question, for which I feel it is very important for you to share with Andy and fellow pilgrims.
So socially lubricated is that the same as like socially inebriated?
No, it's just lubricated. I think I'd point you back in the direction of the first, the first Macquarie Cup episode that we did, where when we were on the way to the course, you actually seemed quite infatuated with the fact that you were well lubricated for the round. Listen to that again. That was pretty funny. Anyway,
I remember those comments.
Anyway, Pete goes on to say, missing links, the scene. A non-pilgrim in front of a larger, also socially lubricated group of non-pilgrim friends asked Steve if he was any good at golf. Okay, so it's a pretty straightforward question. For clarity, none of the group actually knew about my passion for the game or about the Missing Links golf show. I hadn't said anything about it at this point.
So was this obviously wasn't at the golf club then? This was in another setting.
No, yeah, this was at the Gladstone Hotel in Orange.
Okay,
is in fact where it took place. Fine establishment, I've got to say, cracking country pub. Anyway, it says none of the group knew about the Missing Links golf show, and by default, Andy Walker's existence.
I'm shocked at that.
Fair point. Then he says, as the spotlight turned to Steve for his response. Now, Pete, that's a bit dramatic. Let's be honest.
What was it? A spotlight?
There was no spotlight. No. But he says here, and I actually beg to differ with this, but it's fine. For the point of the story, we'll go with Pete's version. He says his exact words were, "Not really," and then a pregnant pause, followed by, "Well, I'm not as good as Andy Walker." Which,
I mean, all fair comments.
I think so. Which I feel, providing that answer to a group of people that have never met you nor know that you exist, is a pretty random benchmark to throw out there. Anyhow, he says, pilgrims, my jaw dropped with all 105 episodes, including a fair percentage focused on psychology, and at the base, the importance of your golfing mindset. Do you, 1, have a fixed mindset, happy hovering just below 10, or 2, do you have a deeper seated subliminal fixed mindset which says, I can't be any closer than 5 or so strokes from Andy, regardless of his current handicap? Is Andy mentally sitting as a little devil on your right shoulder? It'd be my left, actually, Pete, because I'm left-handed. But anyway, that's besides the point. On your right shoulder for each golf shot, whispering in your ear. Further, do you have different psychological profiles or personas on and off the show? Wouldn't want to mislead your fellow pilgrims. Just trying to help a newfound friend acknowledge any golfing baggage he may or may not have. Please discuss.
Yep. Now, Pete, it's actually called intimidation, right? That's really all it is.
Wow, there's a lot in that. There's a lot in that.
How do you feel about it?
Look, I actually think he's got a point. You know,
do you put me on such a pedestal that like you feel as though like it's an untouchable sort of level that
to begin with, it's not about you. Okay.
It sounded like it was.
Let's just get
that's how I talk.
Let's just get that clear. I mean, look, we could make any number of jokes about this, but I actually think, you know, all jokes aside, I do think on reflection that Pete has hit on something here, and what I think it is a little bit of imposter syndrome and a little bit of what we've talked about before a couple of times is the perception of the glass ceiling or glass floor or the imaginary cap or whatever you want to put on it, right?
Yep.
And I also think that part of that, and this is interesting, I don't know which is cause and effect here or which is the correlation or the result, but I haven't been able to kind of really get down into the low single digits, right? Like I haven't been able to kind of get punched much below, around about 8 at best. I think 8.0 is best I've got to. It's blown out a little bit at the moment to 9.8 right now, but, within a shot or two hovering around in that space, that's one thing. But I think he might actually have a point that I need to address. Is what I'm driving.
Look, and I've said numerous times on the show that I don't think you give yourself enough credit for the potential golfing skill that you can develop. We discussed this, really, really early on with the mindset around being that 16 to 18 handicap, and then bringing yourself down to having the mindset of an 8 handicap. But even then, thinking that that's a growth mindset, but now having a bit of a better understanding of what growth versus fixed mindset is, you having yourself and seeing yourself as an 8-9 handicap, that's a fixed mindset in itself and potentially holding you back from going lower. So I think there's a little bit in that for sure.
I think there's also a couple of other things at play, right? That I do want to address. And one of them is the question to a bunch of people, or from a bunch of people that you don't really know when you're having a chat about a game of golf. And like a couple of the guys I know quite well, but a couple of the guys I didn't really know very well. And when the topic comes up, and obviously everyone's talking about, I love a game of golf and blah, blah, blah. And the way that you answer a few questions probably indicates to people, all right, this guy's maybe more into it than average.
Yep.
And so the question does get asked, are you a good golfer? I mean, how do you answer that? Like, who's going to be the person that goes, as a matter of fact, I am.
If you want to sound like an absolute tool, that's the response that you give. And look, I've got to be honest with you. I give that sort of, it's not self-deprecating, but it's a conservative answer on your golfing skill. And my answer to those questions are usually something along the lines of, I was a lot better when I was younger.
But again, that's an interesting one, right? Because we've had this conversation as well before.
Yeah.
I don't know the right way to answer it. I mean, Raymond Pryor's discussion was really interesting a couple of episodes ago, and I think what he would probably say is, I'm a work in progress.
Yeah,
and maybe that's a better answer.
Yeah, I think that's a very good answer. That because and you always are, regardless on what skill level you are. I mean, I'm sure Scotty Scheffler still probably thinks of himself as a work in progress.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself is actually quite a good answer to give. And then if someone asks what your handicap is, I mean, they'll figure out pretty quickly that you're decent. So yeah, but as a starting point, it's not a bad way to go.
It's a tricky question to answer. I mean, I think if someone was to say, "Oh, do you play a lot of golf?" Right? And then you could go, "Well, yeah, I play quite a bit. And as a matter of fact, I get on, the microphones every week and I talk about it and I blast it out to 54 countries around the world." But it's difficult when someone says, "Are you good?" Because I don't think any golfer, maybe outside of Scotty Scheffler, I don't think any golfer really goes, "Yes, I am," because this sport will humble you all the time, and you're always, there's always someone better, so you never go, "Yeah, I'm good." But the other part of it that I wanted to dig into is the point that Pete raised, and he says, do you have a different psychological persona on versus off the show? Now, I would vehemently say no. It's the same, and I think one of the things we have really, really tried to do from day one on this podcast has been super honest about where we're at and what we're doing and who we are.
Yep.
And I don't think there's been any, I'd like to think anyway, I mean, look, I don't know, maybe from the outside looking in that's not true, but I'd like to think that we've been pretty open and honest and vulnerable about where we're at. I don't think there's been any game playing about that.
See, I've got a bit of a different perspective on that, in that insofar as who I am as a person and on the golf course, yes. But I feel as though I carry a couple of different personas, I guess you'd call it, depending on where I am in life. Like, so in my business, I'm not the same as what we are on the microphones in my business life. Yeah, I have a bit of a joke with my clients and we have a bit of a, discussion, and sometimes it's, goes into personal discussions, but a lot of that business sense, those business discussions are quite serious discussions around, business performance and how they can use the data and use my analysis to be able to make better business decisions. So that's a very different conversation to some of the conversations that we have. I mean, you can draw parallels to the data that we bring to golf, and both of us use our business experience to be able to bring that data analysis, I guess, into our golf. But I'm quite different personally to how I try and engage with my clients.
Don't think that was quite the question, though. I feel like the gist of the comment was like the way that you present yourself as a golfer on the golf show versus the way that you present yourself as a golfer in real life. That's how I was reading that.
That's very consistent. Yes.
Yeah, that's how I was reading it. Because obviously, I mean, like in a professional setting, although in fairness, I don't know that I'm that different to work.
Yeah.
That's a separate issue. Anyone that knows me in a work setting that's listening to this will probably have a bit of a giggle about that as well. But I do think from a golf perspective, we absolutely try to walk the walk and tell it how it is.
Yeah.
We've both had plenty of stories of failures on the golf course that we've talked about on this show, and I'm not going to jump ahead too much, but there might be another one later in this episode.
Fair chance. But I agree. I mean, and you look at some of the discussions that we have, regardless of whether it be, with Josh Nichols. I mean, the Paul Salter conversation I had, which we released last week. There's been plenty of times where we've been vulnerable in our approach to, looking deep inside, and that's not going to change. And I think that both of us are like that on the golf course.
Look, one of the biggest reasons for it, though, is that we're not doing this to come at it from a position of knowledge or authority to say that we've got all the information and you should listen to us. Like, we're not, and that's what, and I think that's one of the things that works about this podcast series is that it's not, we're not trying to be golf pros as an instructional series saying this is what you should do.
Yeah.
We're acknowledging what we don't know, which is the same as everyone else out there on the weekend having a crack, and we're trying to find those answers, and we're working through that, and hopefully in our learning, other people will learn some things as well. So I do think that's absolutely kind of consistent with the story. Anyway, that's my view for what it's worth. But hey, what a question, Pete. He's a good guy. He's a very good guy. And as you can see out of that, clearly a deep thinker and someone that has spent a relatively short amount of time listening to our entire back catalogue. So kudos to Pete on that one. There's no doubt about that. That's an awesome effort.
That's either a lot of driving time, or some other social activity where he's able to listen a lot.
Yeah, I think there's a fair bit of driving going on, to be honest. I'm not.
105 episodes over an hour, probably for most. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's an awesome effort. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. So keep it up, Pete. And cracking question. Really, really good question. And it's made me think about a few things. And I think you got a point. I do think there's a blockage there, and I think that's something 2026 I've got to address. Otherwise, I don't think I'm going to see that improvement like I would like to. It's a little bit up there, in conversations. It's right up there with the dashingly handsome PE teacher that kind of started this whole process. And, yeah. So anyhow,
I think it's good to come back and look at those base level, those baselines that we have, and why we started the podcast was to go on this pilgrimage and to be honest and be vulnerable. And I think if you don't come back and ask yourself that question of am I being true to those values, I guess, and beliefs that we started this show on, then and really have a look at, okay, well, am I or am I not? But I think we've always been pretty aligned with those beliefs and values.
No, I agree with all those things. So anyhow, good voice of the Pilgrims to wrap up 2025. It's one of the better ones we've had. So keep them coming, Pilgrims. Flick us a message. You can hit that button. You can send us an email. You can jump on Facebook. You can go on Instagram. You can find us in many, many places. But please reach out. Let us know what you think. And, more thought-provoking questions. I think that's definitely what we're after.
Yeah.
Change of pace, though, Andy Walker. I believe that you may have very recently had a round of golf for us to dissect.
I mean, you could describe it as golf. I was on a golf course.
Here we go.
Trying to hit a little white ball into a hole 18 times. And look, I did succeed in getting around 18 holes.
Same ball?
No.
Oh, dear. Easily done on your course, though.
It was a grind. Let's just say that. And look, because a couple of weeks ago, and this was just before we had Raymond Pryor on the show, I did have a competition round, and I struggled for the first 12 holes. And from the 12th to the 13th, one of the things that I decided to do, and my aim for the last 6 holes, was just to play freely and swing freely, and that worked to shake the shackles off, I guess, and start playing relatively well. So I actually went into this round, and I'm still doing a lot of work swing changes, trying to get the over the top and early extension out of my game. It's not so much the over the top and the early extension. It's the result. It's mainly the snap hook, especially with my driver and fairway, which just seems to be out of control and stops me from being confident off the tee. I just don't know when it's going to come in, and certainly when there's a tight tee shot, it's in the back of my mind. And I just want to get that, and I won't eliminate it from my game, but I just want a more consistent ball striking, especially from the tee, which I feel as though off the tee it sets the whole hole up.
It does,
and makes the game significantly easier. So I'm on this journey, and I'm not going to stop. I'm pretty committed to making sure I come through the other side. However,
there is a saying, like the drive for show, putt for dough, and short game, short game, if you prefer.
Yeah.
There is a counter saying, which is can't drive, can't play.
Yeah. Look, we've had this discussion many times, ball striking versus short game. And I think they work hand in hand. I honestly, I see ball striking to be your base, and then short game and putting, that's really where you can go from being a very, very good golfer to being, an excellent golfer, but your ball striking is your base. That's what gets you to be from, either a poor or average golfer to being a good golfer.
100%.
So I'm on this, I'm on this pilgrimage, I guess you'd say, trying to get rid of the snap hook and get rid of the over the top and early extension, which we've talked about a lot. So anyway, I went out this morning and I thought, okay, well, I'm still working on these things, but I just want to go out and swing freely. Unfortunately, that didn't work either, and it started from the first. And I sort of feel as though, being now 3 weeks since my last comp round, and 3 weeks further down the line of making these swing changes, that even now I'm struggling to go back to my old swing. So now when I'm trying to swing freely, my body doesn't actually know what it's meant to be doing, because I haven't practiced enough with the new swing. And don't get me wrong, when it gets into the slot, it's really good, and that's what I want to continue with. But a couple of weeks ago, I was able to swing freely, and my body just did what it always has done for the last however many decades that I've played golf. I didn't feel I could do that today, even trying to swing freely. So as I said, it started on the first when I just hit my 3 utility and it went straight right into the hazard. And fortunately, it hit a tree, kicked straight left, back into the rough, and I was able to make par.
Wow.
But then on the second, I bladed an 8-iron right into the hazard and took double.
Wow.
And it was rank. It would have struggled to get 20, 25 feet off the ground, with an 8-iron. Then a couple of bogeys later on the fifth, I actually hit a cold top on the fifth into from the second. So I've absolutely smoked a drive down the right-hand side of the fairway, and I had 204 to the flag, and I thought, okay, well, this is perfect from the 3 utility, and I quite literally hit a cold top into the hazard in front of me. And I started laughing. Like, it was just, it was at that point where I just went, and even 5 holes in where I was just going, this is going to be an interesting day.
Yeah.
And it was a struggle all the way through. I did make a birdie though, which is good, because at my home club, there's when you're playing the local comp, they've got what's called the twos. Right, so you put in a couple of bucks, and if you make a 2, there's a kitty, and whoever makes a 2, you divvy it up at the end of the round. So the 12th being a par 3, I made a 2.
Nice.
On the 12th. So I did get something out of it. However, the 12th, it was 144 meters to the flag.
That's a good.
And
2.
I stood up. Yeah, I stood up with a 7-iron, and quite literally bladed it like I did on the 8th, but it went straight at the flag, landed just short of the green, and rolled up to 15 feet, and I binned the putt.
Did you apologise to your playing partners at that point?
That was my 2. And while I say the 8-iron was lucky to get 20 feet off the ground, I reckon this was lucky to get 15 feet off the ground. It was seriously one of my worst swings. It was terrible.
That's quite something.
Yeah. But look, at the end of the day, a couple of positives that I got out of it. So I ended up having 26 points, so 86 off the stick. Worst round of golf I've had for a long time. However, my snap hook seems to have disappeared. I haven't hit a snap hook in my last 3 rounds of golf.
Don't say it out loud.
So I feel as though I'm making progress, and my club path is such that you cannot eliminate a shot, but I think my club path has improved to a point where I'm not going to have the issues that I've had in the past.
So Pilgrims at 8:34 p.m. on the 16th of December 2025, Andy Walker said, "My snap hook has disappeared." Let's just take a moment and let that sink in.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Maybe I should rephrase the disappeared part.
Do you think?
Certainly,
you were tempting the gods.
Yeah. Of course, quite interestingly, on the 13th, which is my nemesis hole, right? And I normally only hit a 4-iron off the 13th tee. I was feeling pretty confident with the driver. I just did a couple of reasonably good drives, so I pulled driver out off the 13th tee, and I did pull it into the hazard.
Right, not a snap hook though. Just a bit
it wasn't a snap hook. It just went straight, sort of
straight pull,
and it went sort of down. And the hazard is only just off the left fairway, and it sort of slopes from the fairway down into the hazard. And I pulled it at the left side of the fairway, and it hit the slope and sort of kicked into the hazard.
Sure.
Mind you, it was only just. I could hit it, and I pitched it out, hit it onto the green, and 3-putted for 6.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Which again was sort of typical of my round. However, I've come up, and I was thinking about this sort of late in my round when it was pretty much all over. And what I've recognized and what I've realized is that since I've moved house now, as you know, earlier this year we moved. I was about 3 minutes door to door from my home club. Now I'm about 30 minutes from my home club. And what I've done is I've sort of transitioned across to having a fairly heavy reliance on the golf sim out in the high performance center. And I think this is an issue. Because I then sort of was thinking back to when I was playing my really good golf 18 months ago. And yes, I was using the high performance center and the sim in the high performance center for practice and for trying to hit the middle of the club and make good swings. But I was also doing some chipping and putting around the practice chipping green and on the practice putting green. And on a Saturday afternoon, I was going out and playing anywhere between sort of 5 and 9 holes. Whereas I'm not doing that now. What I'm doing is I'm spending maybe 3 nights a week just hitting some shots into the sim. I'm actually not practicing my chipping and putting at all on actual green and around a green. Again, I've got a putting mat in the sim in the high performance center, so
not the same.
I'm doing a bit of work with the putter on the practice putting mat, and the only time I'm playing holes is when I'm actually playing competition. And I think this is a bit of an issue. And I was having late in the round, I was having a good chat. There's a young guy who works in the pro shop that I played golf with today. And I was having this discussion with him, saying I've just had this epiphany and sort of went through it with him. And he said to me, I had exactly the same thing about 6 months ago where I was doing a lot of practices in the sim and, I couldn't, I was hitting it sideways on the golf course. And all of a sudden I switched over and started playing a bit more golf, and it just changed the trajectory of A, his scores, but B, of where he was with his game. So
changed the velocity of his game.
Changed the velocity of his golf game. So I've sort of had this, there's a little bit of amongst all the rot of today. So just on that note, I didn't sort of tell you my strokes gained. So total strokes gained was minus 13.6 against a scratch handicapper. Now that's the 14 over, obviously. Driving minus 5.2.
Yeah, wow.
So I don't know why I was standing, pretty confident standing on the 13th tee when my driving was
not good.
Minus 5.2.
That's not good.
Approach play minus 5.6.
Wow.
So you could just see how bad my ball striking was.
Ball striking is terrible.
Short game minus 1.5 and putting minus 1.3.
That's acceptable.
Although I did feel pretty ordinary with the flat stick, I feel as though I'm struggling to keep the putter face square in both my backswing and follow through. I just feel as though I'm all over the place. And I really feel as though this is because I'm not practicing on an actual putting green. I'm practicing on a golf mat.
I think there's a lot to be said for that.
So what are your thoughts? Like, what's your reaction to what I just said?
I think a couple of things, right? Like, I think firstly, there's always the risk of overthinking it a little bit. It's a sample size of one, so take it for what it is. There are days when you just go out and you're swinging a door snake. I mean, like that is something that happens. So there's that. And then the other thing that I think is interesting, and you talked about it, is that you're kind of in that point where the new swing isn't, like, it hasn't fully taken hold yet. You're not comfortable with it. You're not, you haven't kind of got the enough of the grind on that to get the hours to really be trusting it. So you're not trusting it, which is a problem. But then you're also kind of too far down the path to reach out into the kit bag and bring the old swing out when things are not working. So that's put you in an awkward situation. So is this the low point in that change curve? Possibly. And does that mean with a little bit more?
It doesn't go lower. It can't go lower, surely.
I mean, it can, but
don't tell me that.
But maybe probably not. Like, for a player of your skill level to be shooting mid to high 80s is got to be unusual and a bit of an outlier, regardless of what swing you're using. So I think I think you're probably going to see some improvement as the new moves take hold a little bit. The other thing that you talked about is that you hadn't played comp golf in 3 weeks or something. So, that, and I'm struggling with that at the moment as well. I'm not playing enough golf, and just, there's no rhythm and turn up at the course.
The thing is, it's not that I'm just not playing comp golf. I'm not actually
You're not playing any golf. I know that, and that's what I mean. Like,
I'm playing golf swing in the sim.
Yeah. And so you have no rhythm and you have no feel and all those things that enable you to just get the ball around the course and score and, put together a reasonable number, even though you may not be playing that well. And it doesn't take a lot, like, things can be just ever so slightly out and it's a bogey instead of a par, or it's a double instead of a bogey. So I do think on this one, and I'm probably giving this advice to both of us as much as I am just to you, is that probably we need to not sweat the scores so much for a little while and just try and continue to be on the pilgrimage of improving as golfers, and that might take a few months. So
yeah,
I wouldn't overreact though.
Yeah, what I feel as though I need to do, because I also feel like I'm making these swing changes, and so say on a Saturday. So as you know, both my kids play tennis on a Saturday morning, so I take them to tennis. Back here, just before midday, and the first thing I've done for the last, I don't know, however many weeks, is get out into the high performance center and practice my swing and practice these swing changes. So rather than, because the other thing I do on a Saturday after I do that is I do my business admin. So rather than getting home and doing my business admin and then going out and playing, playing a few holes, which is what I used to do, I've sort of switched that around and I'm now practicing my swing in the high performance center. So it's those changes, I think, and again, when I used to go out on a Saturday afternoon, I would spend a little bit of time around the chipping green and on the putting green before I went out and played holes, whereas all that's disappeared. So I sort of feel as though I'm making these swing changes and focusing on the swing changes to the exclusion and then neglecting other parts of my game. So, while I'm not, and I don't expect to get my ball striking back to where it was, say, in the next couple of months, I still need other parts of my game to cover for the fact that I'm not actually striking it that well.
Yeah. You do.
Right. And that's not happening at the moment. And all parts of my game I feel are just really underweight when it comes to the amount of time I'm practicing. So I don't know. I sort of feel as though maybe limiting the high performance center sessions to maybe say 2 a week, trying to get my business admin done later in the week, maybe on a Thursday night or Friday afternoon, which will then free up time on a Saturday to get out on Saturday afternoon and play 9 holes. And now that we've got daylight saving, it's warmer weather, there's no reason why I can't do that. The other thing that I probably need to do, because and as I mentioned, I was 3 minutes door to door, so I could go and have a chipping and putting session, and especially putting, before I went and picked my kids up from school.
Yeah.
The other thing is maybe once a week I should make an effort to be able to get out to my home club just to have that chipping and putting session. And if I need to cover off work at night, then do that rather than neglect my putting and short game, which is then going to, I guess the swing changes are going to take longer, but I feel as though my game's going to be more complete, and I'm going to have I'm not going to be having maybe I'll have an 86 at some stage, but it's not going to be as bad as what it was today, because it just felt horrific today.
Yeah, and look, it's raw because it was earlier today. My other question for you off the back of the conversation with Dr. Raymond Pryor, and this is an important one, are you napping enough?
No, when I had to get up at 5:30 this morning for a 7:30 tea time, yes. I definitely didn't get much of a nap prior to that.
So that might be something to factor into your preparation schedule.
Yeah, possibly.
But look, I wouldn't overreact at the moment. I think it's a process, and you could just as easily go out, next round and shoot the lights out and everything slots back into place and you feel like it's everything's roses. So that is possible. Hang in there is my point.
Yeah.
We're all grinding.
I just feel as though I do need to make some changes to what I'm doing. I feel as though I'm just
it all sounds sensible.
Yeah, I feel as though I'm very one-dimensional
in
what I'm doing at the moment, and I'm pretty, and I understand I do get like that sometimes, and I exclude and neglect other parts. It's not my golf game that I do that in. I do that in other parts of my life as well. But I think I've sort of picked up. I've had a bit of a light bulb moment today, a bit of an epiphany, and I'm going to make some changes, and hopefully that will sort of round out the game a bit more than what it is at the moment.
It will. Your strokes gain data is interesting, and you made me just have a bit of a think. So I got out for 9 holes on Sunday afternoon, Andy Walker, and I haven't played a lot of golf lately. I went out with the young man and a couple of the local members, and we had a good 9 holes, and as I think I mentioned to you via the messages, I was 5 over after 5 holes.
Yep.
Wasn't really worrying about score because we were just having a good time. But I was still keeping score because why not? 5 over after 5 holes, and then I finished 4 over for 9. So I went bogey train for 5, which, to be honest, quite a lot of them could have easily been better than that, but they weren't.
Yep.
And then I went birdie and 3 pars to finish. I hit 71% of fairways, so only missed 2 out of the 7 fairways. So I hit 56% of greens in reg, so I missed, 4 greens. The strokes gain was interesting. I gained, against a scratch handicapper, I gained 1.44 shots off the tee.
Nice.
The drive swing was kind of back in play, which was good. I feel like I picked up a little feel for it there too, which was working quite nicely.
Nice.
Hasn't been there lately. I dropped 0.26 on approach, but then I lost 2.64 on short game and 3.00 on putting, which is fair enough because I 3-putted the first, so that was an issue.
Yep.
And yeah, I had 18 putts actually out of that, so I wasn't really picking anything up putting wise. I made the one birdie putt, but greens were slow. It was a little bit difficult to adjust. But all in all, ball striking was pretty good. It was scratch or better ball striking. It was just short game that let me down.
So then that comes back to a question, I guess, from earlier. In do you feel as though that you're practicing enough to be able to get from that 8-9 handicap?
No way.
Down to sort of mid or low single digits?
No, I don't.
So then what's the plan then? If that's because it's all well and good to have the mindset.
The mindset's not the issue.
Yeah. And you know, was it, I know we did mention it at one point that Bernard Langer was asked if golf was 90% mental and he just went, no way, because, you know, if you went out and had the best mental game in the world, you're still not going to beat me because you don't have the skill level to compete. So, you can have the best mental game, you know, that you possibly can, but if you're not actually putting in the reps of practice, then, you know, and whatever that is, and obviously it needs to be appropriate, whether that be playing holes or, you know, getting out and doing some chipping and putting or hitting some balls in the high performance center, then, if you're not doing that, then you're going to struggle to get down any lower than where you're at. Yeah,
no, it's all true. It's been really hard so this week, as a matter of fact, tomorrow morning, I'll be getting up early and jumping on a flight down to Sydney for another work trip, and that will be...
It seems you've been travelling a lot for work.
7 weeks in a row.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes it tough.
That I'll have been away from home for 1 or more days in the work week, and it just ruins the week, like, because then there's everything else that you have to get done that you haven't been doing, and obviously the thing that gives is practice time, because that's the discretionary choice. But that's had a massive impact. It also, just from a physical and psychological exhaustion perspective, has a big impact. So I haven't enjoyed it. So this week is the last one, and then, you know, we roll into Christmas. I've then got a couple of weeks off work. We're not really going anywhere. So that hopefully will give me a bit of chance to get out and play a bit of golf. The trouble, though, that I've also got from a practice perspective, and you see those short game numbers, you know, with losing 2.5 shots around the green and 3 shots putting, we've actually lost our short game practice area at my home club, because that's part of the redevelopment. Of course, it's currently being done as the master plan redevelopment. They've turned that into another hole, the new 13th, and then they will be remodeling the existing 18th into a short game practice area and a driving range, which will be phenomenal when it's done, but it's a good year or so away from being done. So we're in a little bit of this.
The thing you can do, though, if you're out playing holes, you know, and you know, find a hole where not many people are around, you can just drop a couple of balls, 2 or 3.
Oh, and absolutely.
Do some chipping and putting around a green while you're out there playing holes.
Yeah, absolutely can do that. But it is not quite the same as being able to spend, 40 minutes there working on things. Better than nothing, sure. And I will do a bit of that, but that like those two factors have been difficult to work around. They're not impossible to work around, but they've just been additional challenges. So I think, coming into the next few weeks, I'm hoping to get a bit of time out there playing some nines, getting some practice in and drilling things down a little bit better, as we move then through January and February into in the new year where the weather's good and able to play a bit of competitive golf. I'm hoping to get a few good results, because I actually feel like I genuinely feel like ball striking wise, my actual swing is in the best place it has ever been. And some of the club face control and just, hitting the center of the club face is better than it's been. So there's a lot of good going on. But it's just a case of being able to put scores together, really, at the end of the day.
Yep.
And that's been a bit of a struggle. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully, new year brings new opportunities, and but I would say more so than the other issues. I think it's practice, and I've thought that for a little while. In that, I think you've got the skill base to do it, but golf improvement, especially from high single digits to mid and then low single digits,
for sure.
That's a multiple times a week improvement. That you can't do that playing once a week.
Yeah, and that's the struggle. That's absolutely the struggle. Anyway, we'll keep trying because that's kind of the point of the Missing Links Golf Show.
Need a practice plan, I think, Mr. Hinks.
Yeah, if only I knew someone that could help me out with one of those. But look, it's all part of the plan for the new year. I think at the moment, like for both of us, it's a case of we're coming. I think we said this last year. I remember you were saying the thing like, I don't feel like I'm limping to the finish. I feel like I've fallen over, passed out, and someone's dragging me to the finish line. I feel that this year, probably more than many others, and I am looking forward to the opportunity to having a break and just hitting the reset button and then getting into 2026 and giving it a crack from a different way. So that'll probably be the basis of one of our early episodes in January is talking about the plans for the new year and the way that we're going to approach it and how we're going to try and get some genuine improvement going. Because I'd like to see that.
Well, I've downloaded the Golf New South Wales calendar, so I've got a few events that I've highlighted, and like the same as most years, there's a lot that sort of seem to gravitate towards that sort of September, late August, September, October. While the senior amateur next year, New South Wales Senior Amateur down at Wollongong and Shell Cove, I think it is. So that's in March. That'll be an interesting one to see. Well, I mean, my handicap is blown out 3.7. It is at the moment, so
it's not bad though.
Yeah, we'll see how that works, but I think that'll be a goal. But then there's a few sort of single events and 36-hole events that I'd like to target to be able to get a lot more rounds in. If I can get sort of somewhere between 10 to a dozen events next year, I think that'll put me in a pretty good spot to be able to. I don't expect to win the senior order of merit, but if I can maybe get a top 20, top 15 in the senior order of merit, then I think that'll be a pretty good year, which my injuries have prevented me from doing that in the last couple of years, but I sort of feel as though that's definitely a possibility in 2026.
Definitely, maybe. Very good, Andy Walker. Well, that is some good thoughts, I think, to wrap things up on. We move into Christmas and the new year, so a very Merry Christmas to all the pilgrims out there. That may there be some golf-related goodies under the tree for you.
Absolutely.
Whether that's a box of balls or a launch monitor or a new set of golf clubs or whatever else that might be. Fingers crossed for all of you.
Maybe a training device.
Possibly. And we'll come back with a full report of what's been under the tree for us in the new year. We are aiming to play a bit more golf before the end of the year, but I think we're going to hold off on telling the stories of those rounds until we come back fresh and ready in 2026. Andy Walker, it's been a lot of fun.
Has been. Yep. 2025 had its challenges, but it's also been a good year. So
it's done and dusted. And as we approach the festive season, Andy Walker, have you got any particular advice for the pilgrims? Anything that you think that they should do whilst they're ringing in the new year, perhaps?
Well, recently I did actually catch up with Santa.
I love Santa. He's a good fella. Yeah. Did you know, actually, here's a random story for you. Sorry to jump in, but I used to play cricket against Santa when he was opening the bowling actually for the North Pole High School back in my schoolboy cricket days, and I was opening the batting for my school, and he was a very, very handy outswing bowler. Not that quick, but he'd hoop it around.
Did he come from the long run, or was it more of a sort of shorter?
He kind of
Jasper Boomer type.
Oh, no, I wouldn't have said he was Boomer. I'm trying to remember who you might. Do you remember and this is going back a bit, and because it's an Ashes summer, I think it's relevant, but do you remember the old Bob Willis kind of run up?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of arm flailing around a little bit on the way into the crease. He was reminiscent of an early Bob Willis, but with a slightly more rotund belly. And I think that helped him actually with his arm coming around the gut.
Just to get that outswing.
To get a little bit of that outswing action. Yeah. He'd lob it on a good length, and he was pretty handy, Santa. So
I'll have to mention that.
Yeah, good guy.
We can we do a podcast, and I'm sure he'd remember you.
I think he would. Particularly that time when I took him for 6 falls off and over, but that's a story for another day. Yeah.
So back to my story. Thanks for taking that over. But Santa has actually in recent years sent an elf to our place just to make sure our kids are good, and they're just reports back to Santa. So Ethan is the name of the elf. So Ethan the elf.
Yeah, okay.
So I was talking to Santa because Ethan has been in contact with Santa, and Santa he's given me a bit of advice for Christmas.
Oh, that's good. It's helpful,
and it's something that he does really quite regularly. Sort of helps him.
Would you say he does
especially
it
Christmas
religiously?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if religiously is sort of a
is it Santa
the right terminology, but certainly once a year, Christmas Eve, when he's sort of just about to go on his own pilgrimage around the world to deliver Santa, deliver presents to all the good kids out there. He did whisper through the phone his bit of advice.
Yeah, what was it?
Rock out, pilgrims.
Seriously. Thanks for listening to us today. We love hearing from our pilgrims, so please reach out to us through any of the links in the show notes. We know golf is hard, so we hope we can help you shoot better scores and inspire you to keep trying. Rock on, pilgrims.